Everybody has their own expectations of what it means to be successful. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about your job, whether you're talking about your hobbies, whether you're talking about your sports team, whatever it is. We all know what we want to be able to see, and really our lives when it comes to ministry are really no different. We kind of have this idea that we want to be able to see certain things. A lot of times for people that means seeing churches that are packed to the brim. For a lot of people, it may mean seeing that you do that altar call at the end of an event and tons of people come up. Even at an individual level, what it may mean is it may mean that I'm reaching out to this individual and they hear what I have to say, and as a result, they turn their life around and they're a new, renewed individual that has forever put the past behind them. Sadly, so often our own expectations for what makes successful ministry, either at a corporate or an individual level, don't actually pan out. The million-dollar question is not whether that does or does not make us successful. It's really, can we continue moving on regardless of what we expect to see out of things? Here in just a moment, you guys are going to see an example of where expectations actually were met and wildly exceeded. You're going to look at Peter in his first sermon that he ever gave and the reaction that he got. It's just absolutely amazing, and it's what I think many of us really want to be able to see when we ourselves are doing some form of ministry, charity, service, what have you. But the question for all of us is, what happens when it doesn't look like that? Are we able to continue moving on despite the fact that maybe we didn't see the outcome that we wanted to see? The story of Jonah is actually a really great example of what it looks like when we don't get to see what we think we're here to do. Now, we all know the story of Jonah, and if you don't, the highlight of it is you got a dude, God tells him to go do something, he says, I don't really want to go do that. He gets swallowed by a fish, he repents, the fish spits him up and eats him out on the shore, and then Jonah goes and does what he's supposed to do. That's what most of us talk about when we talk about the story of Jonah. We talk about the big fish because that's the exciting part, but there's really an entire another 2 chapters of the 4-chapter book of Jonah that we just blow right past, and that's what I want to look at today. Because as you start reading about Jonah, you see that he went and he did what he was called to do, finally, after the whole fish thing and all that. But he goes and he does what he's told to do, and what you want to have happen actually happens. You know, the people he's told to go and warn actually end up repenting, and God holds back his judgment. But that's not what Jonah expected. You see, Jonah was going to be the hand of God. He was going to be the hand of judgment, the instrument of God's righteous justice on this evil, corrupt society. But yet they repented, and God withheld his judgment. And so Jonah gets really, really mad. He throws basically a temper tantrum. Stop for a moment in your small groups and take a look at the last 2 chapters of this story and look at how he reacts and look at the critical question that God asks. Is it right that you would be angry in this moment? What right do we have to be mad at the outcome of some sort of service, charity, or ministry that we are taking on if we're doing it for the glory of God and not the glory of ourselves? There's this very, very, very strong temptation for any individual who flatters themselves that they are, a devout Christian. And that is this temptation to see an outcome and actually expect an outcome out of the things that we do. And really, there's a form of arrogance there, or maybe a form of discontent, or maybe even a little bit of insecurity that comes along with that mentality. Because really what we're doing is we're saying that, God, I'll follow you, but I'm going to need this little bit of feedback. I'm going to need this little bit of satisfaction out of what I'm doing. And if you're not careful, that can start turning into, God, I'll do this, but only if I can see how this individual or how this group was touched through what I did. And suddenly, the attention is no longer on what God is doing, maybe seen or unseen. Instead, it becomes focused on what we're doing. That's the thing that we have to safeguard against, that any form of ministry we do, whether that's something as simple as getting together with somebody and just talking with an individual who doesn't have a lot of friends, or whether that is engaging in a Bible study, or maybe going out and doing some kind of service for another group or individual. Regardless of what that ministry is, we must be critically careful to ensure that we're keeping the focus on the right thing and that we are focusing on what God is here to do. And when we do that, all of a sudden, we're free from whatever the set of expectations is that the world may have on what we're doing. The expectations are solely based on what God is going to accomplish, and that's something that we can have full faith in. We no longer have to worry about the fact that we achieved what we wanted to achieve, or that we got all the social media likes and shares and follows and what have you. We don't have to worry about the fact that we had gobs and gobs and gobs of people, or whatever the optics are of our church. Instead, we can focus on the fact that we can be content knowing that we are a part of God's plan that is bigger than what we're doing. And maybe God will bless us and He will allow us to be able to see the changed lives, the changed hearts, and the individuals who have been touched. But sometimes God just says, I just need you to play your part. I just need you to do what I'm asking you to do, because you may not be able to see it, but one day you will realize that I have this gorgeous plan in motion and you get to play a part of it. That's the glory that you get, not whatever you think you're going to see for yourself, but what you're going to be able to see through me and through what I am doing here on this earth. The key, as in so many of our other messages, is contentment. And we derive that contentment ultimately from focusing on what God has already won and not what we seek through our own power to be able to achieve. That's our message for today. I hope you're able to get something out of it. And until we can meet again, God bless.